His days. On his bad days, he warned me against having hope. He needed company in his desolation, and I walked down dangerous steps to meet him. He made me scones and coffee. He watched me eat and drink and brightened when I said the scones were good. I bought the raspberries at the farmer's market because I know you love them, he said. I thought to tell him I do not love raspberries but blueberries, but he did not attend to the things I loved. His bad days became mine. He no longer needed to warn. On his good days, he did not call. He found more good days. He found a girl and took her to the farmer's market, where she chose raspberries. He made scones for her and invited me over. She was tall with brown hair. Some thought her pretty, including her. She looked like me. He told me about her, and we both listened to things she knew. She was a pediatric nurse. She grew up in Maryland. She used to dance ballet. They laughed about her ugly feet. I liked her. I felt lonely and went home. We met a while before at a cafe where he watched for the few minutes it took me to complete Thursday's New York Times crossword puzzle. I thought guys only spoke to girls in cafes when they were interested. I thought when he asked me to get together, it was a date. We didn't go on a date. He pegged me as a caretaker. I took care. I listened to him talk about girls. Sometimes he cried. He likes selfish ones. He introduced me to a few. They looked a little like me. I entered a crossword competition I learned about in a documentary. I practiced. I timed myself. I was close to the winning times from the year before. I didn't tell him. On a good day, I told him. He said he wondered why I hadn't been around as much. It was too close to turning into his story. I was on flat ground. I didn't want to descend. He said, "Be prepared to lose." Waiting was unnecessary, good or bad. They were his days. They had little to do with me when they didn't have to do with him. I thanked him for the caution. When we parted, my love for him halved. I stopped for ingredients. By the time I arrived home, it was halved again. I made blueberry scones. They were the best scones I ever had. The girl who looked like me, the ballerina, left him. He called me, crying. I listened to voicemails while doing crosswords. I had 2 weeks. I did not have time to take care. I was lighter, safer. I got better, faster. I did not prepare to lose. I did not prepare to win. I did neither. After, he didn't ask how it went. I didn't offer. I told him I liked blueberry scones. He made me blueberry scones. I told him they were good. They were not as good as mine.
Yeah.
One of my friends taught that story in one of his classes, and he said one of his students wrote a comment calling them the scones of sadness or something. It's like the baked goods of melancholy. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to read something that I actually have never read before because it makes me cry, so I'm going to try not to, but it is for my parents. It's about my dad's mom, and I want to read it for them. And it's called Independent Living. When her friend Jenny died, Rachel got smaller. Her bones, already curved and soft, dipped her closer to the ground. Her fingers, long swollen with arthritis, as she called it, swelled more, and she could no longer get the 3 large rings she had always worn past her oversized knuckles. She removed her wedding band for the first and last time in 71 years. Rachel's husband, Isaac, died 14 years earlier. She mourned him, of course, but he had been sick and she had been younger. Now, relatives and friends, interchangeable in age and malady, died like dominoes, one then the other, falling in rows of blurred identities. She and Jenny kept each other distinct in their similarities. Both were child-sized with ashy blonde page boy haircuts and wore fashionable costume jewelry purchased by their daughters-in-law. Though both in their early 90s, they referred to each other as best friend, an endearment neither had used since high school. Rachel and Jenny were popular at the independent living home where their children had placed them, safe and separate, in expensive, lovely apartments sparsely decorated with things salvaged from the places where they had raised those children. "Everyone wants to sit at our table at lunch," Rachel complained to her sons, delighted. She had resisted the move from Pittsburgh to Los Angeles. The months before Jenny arrived from Chicago were punishing. Jenny's presence quieted Rachel's complaints and evoked a sweetness like newly ripened fruit. The transformation in their domineering, sour mother revised her children's memories of their childhoods. Jenny had an excellent walker with wheels rather than one of the unwieldy contraptions most still used to clunk slowly along the extra-wide halls. Rachel had her sons purchase her one immediately. The walkers had attractive plastic seats for resting when they grew tired of wheeling. They often parked themselves apart from the others, engrossed in the girl talk of old ladies. They gossiped about the would-be friends who crowded them at their lunch table, the one with the gay grandson, the one who didn't wear a brassiere, the one who always ate 2 desserts, the one whose daughter had lymphoma, the one who wore girlish plastic barrettes and a stained yellow housecoat, the one with a car who would not let anyone ride. They held each other's naughty, misshapen hands. "We are peas in a pod, Rachel," Jenny declared in her loud, crackled, cigarette-ruined voice. For 15 months, they talked about their children, their grandchildren, their husbands, their lives. They spoke quickly, needing each other to know these things for reasons they did not acknowledge. They celebrated their birthdays and ignored obituaries and emptied apartments. Rachel had a minor heart attack that kept her in the hospital for 5 days. She asked her sons to check on Jenny, to make sure her friend knew she was coming back. While she was gone, Jenny died. Rachel had not finished telling Jenny things. She did not care to tell anyone else. She put the useless rings in a drawer for her granddaughters to fight over and waited.